Oh no.
Ooh.
We're a bit small
What?
down
Just
here.
a little bit.
Oh, these pin
feel really-
particles.
Constrained.
Yeah. Shall we embiggen?
Yeah.
I know that's the wrong Marvel hero, but let's do that.
What?
Fucking hell. Welcome to the Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania podcast. We have to make fun because there isn't any in the movie. No, there's lots of fun in the movie. If there's one thing this movie has, it's fun.
And holes.
Yeah.
And holes.
Not plot holes.
What? No.
Oh, maybe.
That's the one type of hole it has.
It has quite a few plot holes, actually.
I'm Will.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Ben.
And we're going to be diving dipe into Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. As Scott Lang once said, thanks for thanking of me. Before we get into the spoilers, though, it's always nice to kind of know where we're all at with the movie. Spoiler-free kind of thoughts. Sam,
Yes.
where were you at when you left the theatre?
When I left the theatre, I was like, that was okay. But then the back of my head was like, no, you need to rethink that. I don't hate it.
Yeah.
But there are definitely a lot of things that went very differently to how I thought they were.
Yes.
I was someone that didn't really watch any of the trailers or promo. I just watched like the first teaser and that was it. So I didn't really have many expectations, but just in the movie alone, it was like I thought it was going one way, then I went to this, and then all of a sudden it was over. And I was like, oh.
All of a sudden it was
Cool.
over is a good is a good thing. Ben, how are you?
Honestly, very similar to Sam. I literally walked out of it and I was like, that was okay. I had a fun time. I think I tweeted about it being like, it's a good, fun movie.
Yeah.
And then the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I was like,
Yeah.
okay. I think I do think it has a few very good moments. It's not like, it's a weird one because it's not like it's a bad film. I think this is a good film. I think this film sits somewhere, like it's not like a Thor the Dark World level of poor quality in my opinion. Like it's just a disappointment for in almost every way that it like hyped itself up.
Yeah.
There is all the aspects that they were like, this is what this film is going to deliver. It did not deliver. And I'm trying to skirt around spoilers here. But like, yeah, I don't feel like it hit the mark on most of those aspects. The aspects where it was fun and enjoyable, I feel like were stuff that we got in the early Ant-Mans that if anything we just got less of in this. And I think that's at its core how I feel now. I'm mostly disappointed because I think it had so much potential and also had two brilliant like previous films to go off of, and it just became a bit of a mess.
Yeah. You took the word. The word that I was going to use is disappointing. I think it is.
Yeah.
It's not the worst Marvel movie. It's the most disappointing one.
Yeah.
At least, like, yeah, you guys agree. At least for me as well, because being a fan of those first two movies, which, in my opinion, are like, you know, second to the big, you know, tentpole Marvel films, they're some of the best things they've done. And in going bigger, I think they lost the heart of what made those characters work and what those films and what Peyton Reed's good at. I don't think he's good at this. Like his best episode, kind of his best episode of Mando is the Mando episode where he crash lands on an ice planet and does nothing. Like that was great. The episode where they're on the ship and there's like Luke Skywalker and stuff, that sucked because it was like he didn't know how to handle the bigness. He's great with small, ironically, with these other characters. And I think that this movie just lost a lot for me. The marketing material just set up a completely different film.
Absolutely.
I want to finish this podcast with my pitch of what the marketing material pitched us and what never came in the movie. But yeah, I liked it. I think that the good of the other Ant-Man movies is still in here, and I think that's what makes it worth watching. I think we're going to have a good discussion about Kang because I think we might be in different corners on this one. A disappointing movie, but I guess we should jump into it. And
can I just add one thing to that before we go too deep into spoilers? I think this film will age similarly to how WandaVision aged for me, where I come out of it. I mean, WandaVision was better at a base. But I come out of it being disappointed because I expected something else. But I think over time, I'll come to rewatch this and be like, no, this is like okay. I just think at the moment, and it's not necessarily as you said, it's not necessarily the expectations that we went in with. It's the expectations they tried to give us about it, I think, is the big thing.
I think I've seen similar people who are like, it might feel like Age of Ultron as well, where Ultron was like the beginning of everything they wanted to do in phase 3 and stuff. And so this is setting up a lot thematically, and we'll come back to it and be like, oh, I see what they wanted to do here.
Okay.
But I liked Ultron without all of that, so...
I like it.
yeah.
I thought it was fine.
But we might as well start with the biggest thing that this film introduces, and that is Kang. It's weird. All the marketing says introducing Kang, and I'm like, no, you're not. He was in the other thing. But they're treating Kang as his own thing. I get it. It's fine. But I think... I want to start with you, Sam, on Kang, because I think you're really hot on what this one did with him.
Like, I did really, really like Kang, but I liked Majors more.
Yeah, okay.
Because I feel like a lot of the acting choices he made for Kang was really, really well. Like, there are a lot of scenes where you can see him kind of like... As you would when you're talking to someone and trying to get a point across, if you start getting annoyed, you start being like...
He's just like...
and he had that sort of... aspect to his character, which I really liked. Pretty much any scene where he's giving a huge bit of talk,
exposition,
like, was just the most mesmerizing thing. I was like, this is great. I just don't like the way they handled him.
Okay, good.
Like now going into spoilers, of course. They obviously had marketed him to be the biggest bad yet. He was killed off by a couple ants, and I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. I think maybe we're actually similar.
I think we're all on the same page, actually.
So, and it's tricky for me because I don't love melodramatic villains, and the way that he portrays Kang is that. So for me, there's a little bit of a cringe factor in his acting, but I think that was the point of the character in a lot of ways. I didn't love Kang. I thought he was a bit shit.
Fair enough.
I think I put on Twitter as well. He is everything that Gore was, but Gore was still interesting.
Yes.
Whereas Kang is not interesting as a villain, and he's not like powerful, so there was just nothing for me.
Well, like when he is like, it is a quiet moment, like when he's in the cells with Cassie and Scott and they're just talking. Those moments I really liked. But then it's like when it came to the battle, he was like just in his little room, like yelling at people. And it's like he's not doing anything.
No, it's like Emperor Palpatine and Star Wars. It's like, you little bitch.
It's Kylo Ren in the big.
It's Kylo Ren. That's totally more.
Literally that was him the whole time.
Ben Kang.
I tend to agree. I think similar to Sam, I'm really like hot on Jonathan Majors' performance, and I think we get glimpses of other versions of the character he's going to play going forward in the post-credit scenes, and I think he's only going to continue to shine playing all the versions of this character, and I'm very excited about that. I similarly am very disappointed by how this version of the character, because this version of the character is the Conqueror. Like they are setting him up as Kang the Conqueror, like the main. There's a lot of Kangs, but like the main Kang from the comics. And like the concept that all the other Kangs had to exile him down to this area because he was doing so much damage is like really interesting. And then, as you said, they build up this scene in the prison cells. And like in that scene, I felt like he's genuinely intimidating. Like I am scared of this guy. I believe he has this level of power. I don't know
what his powers are. I don't know what his
totally. He's doing weird suit stuff. But he's like he's doing stuff to their bodies, and it's like it's weird. But then literally like everything from then on out, I'm like, oh, so you're just a bit shit. It feels like they kind of had this really strong concept for how they wanted to introduce the character, and then they really weren't sure what to do with it after that. And I just... one part of it is the whole premise of the ants, but part of it is the fact that I find it so unbelievable that this person who... We have a literal flashback in this movie of how he has, like, raised thousands of worlds to the ground, destroyed timelines. I find it so unbelievable that some big ants with some good technology can overwhelm his shield and take him up. Like, it's just... Absolutely. It's so shockingly, like...
It's so weird.
Poor writing that, like, like... I don't see why he couldn't succeed in this film to an extent. Like, sure, he could get stuck in the quantum realm still or something. Like, I don't see how that damages them going forward. Like... he's going to come back at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because he's not dead.
No.
But like I don't see why they can't.
It's bizarre.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
I could go on and on about it
Yeah.
because I think it's a really wasted opportunity to introduce this version of the character and then just not.
It's
not
almost
use it
an
well.
overall problem with the Marvel in that the way he's being treated is, this isn't the one. It's like,
Yeah.
there was an element of even coming into this movie, I'm like, well, he's still got another movie, so it's like, this guy has to impress me a lot to be interesting. And I think it's just an odd thing because the other movie's villains were Darren Cross in a shit suit, not that intimidating, but like function really well as a villain. Ghost, who was pretty shit villain, and also Lawrence Fishburne, and like they didn't do anything as villains, but it worked. Like these films don't need good villains, but they need something. They need a foil, and it just felt like there was no stakes because I didn't believe anything about this guy.
Yes.
So but I think it's a good standing with him. The scene with all the Kangs is fucking weird.
Like in the post credit.
Yeah.
That is probably my favorite post credit scene yet. Their energy in all of them just
I agree. It's really weird. I think I'm interested to see how it'll age because I feel like there's a lot of different performances he's doing there, and I'm curious to see how hard in he goes on like how different each of the characters are because we've seen two in like proper properties at this point, and both of them are very different. So if he keeps up that vibe, I'm interested. But I was just a bit like. At one point, I was just like, "There's a lot of shit on the screen. Just keep me on the three. We don't need to spend all this time looking at all these other ones." Yeah, you know.
Well, it was the moment because I saw it with my parents first. I was like, I know they're hanging on by a thread at this point.
Yeah.
And then when that happened, I'm like, they don't know what's happening.
No.
There's no way. It's fucking weird. But it'd be interesting to know how that kind of ties into where we're headed with all the stuff.
And then we've got like the second scene that obviously leads into Loki season 2.
Just a clip from Loki.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is cool.
And like it was funny because the cinema I saw it in, when that scene happened, there were people like, yeah, but that shouldn't make sense because Loki and
Sylvie.
No, not Sylvie.
Mobius.
Yeah, him. Yeah. They were like, he should know who Loki is.
Yeah, right.
So how's that? And I was like, well, obviously it's after all that's been sorted out. Like, just think around it.
Oh my God.
You know, but no, like, it was cool to see that that character, not the Kang we saw in Ant-Man, but Kang
is going to be a part of that.
Is going to be a part of that, so which is pretty cool. So yeah, not too bad of post-credit scenes, but a bit wild.
I hate clip scenes. I hate clip post-credit scenes.
It was very... It felt out of place a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing is the other scene feels like it fits in the movie somewhat.
Yeah.
Even if it's weirder than the movie, I almost wish the rest of the movie was as weird as that because then it would have had more of an identity.
Yes.
And I think I was talking to a friend about this, and I think that's like part of my problem with this film is also it doesn't feel like it has an identity. I was even thinking about Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and I was like, I have a lot of issues with that film. But it has an identity.
It's a Sam Raimi film.
I know what I know what that film is trying to do overall.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of problems with it. This film, it's just like there's the first 20 minutes is like an Ant-Man film, and then it's just like, all right, we're done.
I've seen this film 3 times, Ben. When I watched it yesterday, the whole time it was with Zara, and she's like, "Oh, this is like Avatar. Oh, it's like Star Wars. Oh, it's like Dune." It's like
no.
And then when she was doing it, I'm like, "It is."
You're like, "Oh my God, it is."
The film is just other movies.
Yeah. Well,
but it doesn't do any of them well.
The Dune scene is disgusting.
Yeah.
The like all the big sand platform and that was terrible.
Well, anyway. Like for me, the thing that was the most like just. I don't know. The thing that I was like, what? Like, why? Was when Kang is explaining to Scott, I need you to shrink down and go and get this thing for me. I was like, oh, sick. This is going to be like a heist film.
Yeah.
And that's why in the trailers and stuff, you see all this weird shit happening to him. I'm like, oh, that's like, it's going to be like a crazy adventure now.
Yeah.
It's like 5 minutes.
It's a 5-minute scene.
And
No,
they
I
come back.
checked my phone at that point of the movie, and I was like, there's an hour left. Oh, this is about to be sick. They're
Yeah.
going to go, like,
Yeah.
deep into this thing. It's going to get really weird. And, yeah, he just went out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But then...
it is my favorite scene in the movie. What happens in
Yeah.
there?
No,
but,
yeah, good. No, absolutely.
But
yeah.
like totally, it feels like
Yeah.
we're at the second
Yeah.
act, and we're about to go.
Like
into
when it got to that point, I was so excited. I was like, "Holy shit, this could be great!"
Yeah.
And then he's in for 5 minutes, comes out, and then what takes place after that is just everything moves so quickly. All of a sudden, we're at the end, and I'm like, "How did we get from a heist movie
to
to
the
now
end of the
Kang
film.
being beaten by insects?"
I do have a bone to pick with that scene, though.
Please.
And
Do
it's just
tell us
Kang
about
in general again, going back to Kang.
Yeah.
You're telling me this man who has been through the entirety of time, who has like access to all this kind of technology, you're telling me that he doesn't at some point in his life has not found the ability to shrink. Like that's
Yeah,
in fact that's
yeah.
my problem with the whole thing, like why he's
That's
stuck
very
in here.
true,
He
yeah.
doesn't know how to do this. Like
Yeah.
I find it so unbelievable at this point that the only way people know how to shrink to a quantum level is with Pym particles.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
other people have worked it out, surely, especially someone who is supposed to be as intelligent as him.
And because, like, surely at some point in the 20-odd years, they've got, like, that he could have stolen Janet's tech. Like, just have sent thousands of minions to wherever Janet and
Yeah.
Bill Murray were hiding and just,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
get the suit so I can do it myself. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like for
Yeah.
me, like throughout the whole movie, it was a thing where you've had the ability to literally create another universe down here,
Yeah.
with a city
Yeah.
that when they show you that big like wide shot runs for kilometers beyond what you can even see.
Yeah.
Yet you're not smart enough to figure out how to harness your core again for your ship and
like-
get out of here.
it's
and,
such
like,
a-
and that was like my main thing to most of it. I was like, I was still enjoying Kang, but I was like, you're a bit of an
Yeah.
idiot. I was like, you know, like
Yeah.
I feel like, and it's what I've said about a lot of Marvel things lately. I feel like they were just holding back when you shouldn't. When in
Totally.
every trailer you're like, the Conqueror's here. It's like he didn't conquer anything.
No. It's a film of missed opportunities.
Absolutely.
Can we talk about one thing that I don't think is a missed opportunity?
Please.
And that is MODOK. And we may have differing opinions on this.
Can you talk about MODOK?
Because I think, and this is where I'm going to bring in Josh's thoughts about this
Yes.
topic as well, because
take.
Josh and I came out of this movie together,
Yeah.
and Josh did not like that they didn't take MODOK seriously. But I think there is no world in which you can take the character of MODOK seriously.
Joshua
and I
Lawrence
totally love.
Wanted
Yeah,
something
Josh
to be
Lawrence.
serious?
Yeah. And there is no world in which you can make this character serious in a live action film. And I think it was the perfect decision. I like that he's gone. I like that it's done. I like that they've used the villain. And
Yeah.
we can just this is it now. And it's fucking it's hilarious. It's just hilarious.
That's wild that he didn't. That's very
Yeah.
funny.
Is that his hot
Yeah.
take that you told me about?
Yeah,
Ben?
that's his hot take.
interesting.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah.
Because the wild thing about this film's getting like very mixed reviews. My own reviews between each session have been mixed. My first one was 3 stars. My second was 1.5, and then I was like, actually, you know what? It's 3.5. Because the first time I saw it, I fucking hated MODOK. I was
Yeah,
like,
cool.
this is stupid. I don't want this here.
Yeah.
And I still
Yeah.
think I believe that. I still think that he is the most useless part of the movie. In a film that's already like full of shit, I'm like, get him out of here.
Yeah.
Like, why? What is that?
Okay, but doesn't he belong in Ant-Man? Like, to me, this is like the
Oh,
perfect
100%.
like
But I
part
would-
of like
But he's already in a weird place, so I wish he was
Yeah.
weird in the real world. Like,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
already such a weird world that it's not weird that he's here. I'm just like,
Yeah.
of course, okay, weird looking
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
There's a guy with a gun for a head. Like, it's not.
Yeah, and
it's
Goop
not-
Man.
Yeah, and we'll get
Yeah.
to Goop Man.
Yeah.
But I didn't love him. Then the second time I really didn't love him, and the third time I was like, it's the one thing that is combining this as a trilogy, so I'll take it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the one feature in this film that makes it a close of the Ant-Man trilogy, so sure.
Yeah.
It was so funny for me because, look, I can understand the point of Josh to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But only because my only other exposure to the
Yeah,
character was
yeah.
through the Avengers game. So obviously in that
Yeah.
he's a big like intimidating thing that you see him become like,
Yeah.
a bad villain.
And
Yeah.
he's ugly.
And he's ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So, but like, because when I was in the cinema, like, people just could not comprehend
Yeah.
what was on screen.
Yeah, it's pretty
and
funny.
There were audible, like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That I heard, which was so hilarious.
It is wild how, like, he breaks people.
Oh,
like
crazy.
there's so many weird things in movies, but yeah, this as a creation, people just
But
can't.
the weirdest, when they're
Get in.
showing the montage of how he was
Fuck.
made, and you see his little tush. His
Little butt.
It's so funny. Doesn't need to be there.
No.
But it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think everything about it to me is perfect. It's the one bit of this film that hasn't aged poorly on me. I think that the characterization of MODOK in the sense of MODOK from the comics is good. Like, I understand MODOK can be a bit more intimidating in the comics, but let's be honest, he's a big guy with a face and small legs and arms. It's weird as fuck.
When he said there's no Darren, only MODOK, I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like that is
totally.
MODOK speaking. That's
Totally.
fucking great.
No, because, and the fact that they used Darren, they went, like, we're not even going to go close to who this was in the comics. We're just going to use Darren. Because you look back at the first Ant-Man movie and you're like, yeah,
that's
no,
MODOK.
they're the same character. Makes so much sense. And just how, like, people have, like, brought up that they really don't like how poor the CGI is. But, like, to me, it's so intentional. Like, it's so intentional because they're actively making fun of how stupid he looks. And I think it's like, yeah, as Sam said, it's the fact that he breaks your brain to the point where you keep watching it and you're like, kind of, whether you like it or you don't like it, you're just kind of in awe of what is on your screen.
Like, every time he showed up, the laughter just got more intense.
People laugh every time.
But I had such a good chuckle when he was dying. It was like, I'm so glad
the music.
that I can die saying that I was an Avenger. And then his little hand comes up as well. And touches his face.
And Paul Rudd's delivery of just like,
okay. Unsurprisingly, the best lines of the film are from him. But I think my favorite line is, it's been a lot. There's been a lot of things today. A lot has happened today. A lot has happened today because it's one of those beautiful lines where when someone addresses time in a movie and you're like, yeah, he was like walking down the street like 4 hours ago, and now this is happening.
Totally.
I adore it, and he's there, and I agree. It's also one of those things where I'm sure there's fans of MODOK that are like, but he needs to have aim, and he needs to do this, and it's like, the MCU's never going to have time to make another super secret society and all that shit. It's like, you might as well get him out of the... And character design, amazing. One of the most unfortunate things is that Corey Sol is bald, because one of the defining things of MODOK is like this ugly mess of hair.
The tuft of hair,
So I think that is what is adding to the unnervingness. It's just a smooth egg.
The smooth head.
He's Humpty Dumpty.
He's Humpty Dumpty from Puss in Boots 1. It's I get it, but it is fun. But we might as well address it. Paul Rudd is the best thing in this film. Undoubtedly, every line. I think he's more funny in this than usual, and I think it's because the film doesn't have much for him to do. So it's just writes really great situations. The best of which being the holes guy, when Shooty from The Good Place is like, he has 7 holes, and he just pauses and counts the holes. He's like, yeah, that's about right. Which is phenomenal.
His monologue at the start, his monologue at the end, both fantastic.
Very, very good.
Even when he goes, even when he goes into the coffee shop.
Oh yeah.
The coffee shop, and the first time he like does a little turnaround when the guy says Spider-Man, and he's like, no, I'm not going to bother.
And then he goes the second time, he's like, that's $12.
It's like, amazing. Because that is the thing. Like, this is still written like an Ant-Man movie. There's some great dialogue. I know I keep diverting to just shit on this movie, but the problem with it is, apart from those prologue and epilogue, it could be it could be the Guardians. It could be literally
Eternals.
any other character being sent to the quantum. Like, it doesn't matter that it's Ant-Man and the Wasp. And that's the problem for me, is that the other movies were very much about them. It was about Hank.
But Will,
go on.
It matters because the ant saved the day.
Look, it's a great... that's the one part of the movie I do love, but I hate because it puts Kang down the ladder. But give me a fucking epic entrance from Michael Douglas. I don't have a problem with that.
I love Michael Douglas in it. I hate everything else about that decision.
I love. That's a big insect or whatever. She's like, yes, it's the man that flies on ants. It's like, I like ants, and I love you for that.
The I love you for that is one of my favorite lines from this movie, because it's the ultimate, like, I'm done with your shit. But you know what? I'm just going to let it go.
I think the thing that gets the biggest laugh the 3 times I've seen it is I'm a woman that has needs, and then he talks about after the Bill Murray sequence. It's such an incredibly written little exchange.
There's also another really funny bit at the very beginning when they're all having some pizza together, and he talks about how like he saved the world again.
Yeah.
And then she's like, "So you should write a book about it."
Write a book about
that,
it.
like the time, like if people were pissing themselves at that, because I think the way she like just says that line as well is so well done.
Totally,
it's so casual.
Yeah, it's so good.
And again, this is the problem with this movie, because all the interpersonal relationships, like all that stuff that is so strong in the first 2 movies, anytime it happens, it's so good, like even within the quantum realm. But then anytime it's not that, and it's like Janet going on some random exposition. Like occasionally Kang delivers a really strong scene, but that's more Jonathan Majors than the writing. And it's like, anytime it is not focused on that, which is so strong, then it just turns into the most generic film. It's the most generic Marvel film, and it's so frustrating.
Yeah, like we might as well talk about Whole Boy and that whole situation, because that is when they're like. And like, you know, I know it's the social commentary, and there always is, but when they're like, he took our homes, and I'm like, there's no way you're doing this. There's no way you're doing like Ravaged. Like, it's basically Thor Ragnarok. It really felt a lot like that.
It's literally Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
It's a bad version of Thor Ragnarok.
Which
I don't get.
Because like, when the whole guy, it's like it's Korg and Meek. Like they created the same characters again.
That's so true.
But Whole Guy was good. Whole Guy gave us David. He's got a beautiful, crazy last name.
Das Malkin.
Thank you. It gave us him in this film, which is the most important thing, because we couldn't have an Ant-Man film without him. And also, for score buffs, first, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp, the final track on it is him reciting a Baba Yaga poem. On the new soundtrack, the final sound thing is him just talking about holes for like 2 minutes in character. God. So
that's amazing.
Make sure you go check that out. But
Can we talk about the score though?
Yeah, you had a point
horrendous.
On that. Yeah.
It's horrendously bad, and I don't notice scores very much. So the fact that I noticed how bad this score was is concerning.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same, like, Christoph Beck is doing it again.
Yeah.
Like, the team hasn't changed as far as I know. I just don't get how, like, all the identity of those first 2 film scores just completely went away. He also did WandaVision, which is also fantastic. This
is what I feared No Way Home score would be, because Giacchino was kind of every Spidey film would build upon the score would get a bit bigger and a bit more ambitious, and the same was happening with Ant-Man, but it was still retaining it. But this, it's like the themes are there. I've listened to the score a few times because I still enjoy it, but I definitely agree. The themes are there, but he's tried to give them like cinema and make them big and bombastic and sweeping, and in that totally has lost the kind of heistness of the previous scores. And
it was always like the big and small dynamic of the score that I loved about the first 2 films, and it's probably shows in the rest of the film as well. The big and small, like playing with size, just goes away in the score. It goes away in the visuals. Can we talk about the bit where Cassie and Scott hug? And it's actively hard to tell what the joke is until they say it. And it feels them saying it is the joke because it's so hard to tell. Like,
It doesn't make sense because it's film language. All you have to do is put the camera down a little bit more. But they shoot it like they're shooting a normal sequence, and totally they don't look giant. They're moving slowly, but it looks silly in the way that and also these films always do it. Every film breaks the logic of the last one. You're not supposed to be able to take your helmet off when you're big or small. And in this film,
it's annoyed me so much
because it's containing your body. The whole point of the suit is that it's keeping it. And they just in this movie, anytime, no matter what size, they're like and open the helmet. I'm like, you're dead. It's over.
They broke it. They broke it in the second film, and they broke it even harder in this one. It's like
totally
all the logic of the quantum realm they set up in the first film. It's just out the window. Completely gone.
When we saw the 20-minute preview and Michael Douglas says, we should be dead, I was like, I hope that's the only moment they address that. And it was. They just never talk about it again. It's just like, I guess we should.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I actually really appreciate that this film goes out of its way to make them understand alien dialogue. Like the fact that there is the
I
ooze
love
scene
that.
and the
Yeah.
bar scene. I'm like, sick. Like cool
Yeah,
that
no.
you went to your effort. To
Absolutely.
Do it.
Like, I thought
Yeah.
that was such a hilarious aspect to have involved, and it reminded me so much of Who, like, on Doctor Who, when they go to a new planet and they can just understand the aliens.
Totally, yeah,
It was
yeah.
like, I was like, oh, this is cool. It's fun, and
Yeah.
the film is littered with fun things like
Yes.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
But then it's like, it just, I don't know. It's like,
It's so messy.
Like, the bad just outweighs the good at a certain point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah, the ooze sequence is very good. There's so many like. It's a messy movie. It's so messy.
I think like part of why it's messy is because you've got the characters in such two different extremes of like areas of the quantum realm, so you're constantly going back and forth. And there was a point where I can't remember who it was focusing on, but when it jumped back to the other group,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's right, you're doing that.
Totally. I mean, yeah, there's some weird editing choices. When they first arrived there, there's the two sequences of Scott and Cassie getting to the ooze stuff
Yeah.
and Janet and the crew doing the other thing, and they're just cutting back and forth every literal minute, and it's like, just
Yes.
let the scene
Yeah.
play.
Yeah,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ. Like, it's, there's some, it's an odd film. I think there's a lot that was changed. I think this is another Marvel film where I would love to know what the original film was, because there's a lot that there's one sequence which the 3 times I watched it is wild to watch, which is when MODOK approaches on Hank and he's like, hey Hank, and Hank says, what happened to your face or whatever, and then it cuts to MODOK and he's already backing up being like, ah! And it's like, what the fuck? Like there was a dialogue sequence that happened here, and
Yeah.
you just like ripped it out of the movie.
Yeah,
and
right.
I think there's a few other places where it's just like you can feel in not a clever way, in the way that we would watch this podcast, and there'll be a part of the podcast where we're like, oh, I'll just lose that, and they didn't tidy it. They were just like, well, that fixed that bit now. We don't
Yeah.
have to. It just feels like
Yeah.
a very messy edited film, and yeah, I'd love to know what
Yeah.
isn't in this movie.
Well,
It's
speaking
similar-
of like what isn't,
Yeah.
I mean, should you tell us what you would have put in this movie, Willie?
I can do that. I can put that. Yeah. So, I don't understand. The marketing sets it up. I don't
Yeah.
understand how this isn't a film about Kang giving Scott time travel. I don't know how
Okay.
it's not that. Because we open the film, and he's written in his book that he's
Yep.
sad that he's missed Cassie's birthdays. The central point of Scott Lang's character is that he has missed so much of Cassie's life.
Yes.
Constantly is pulled away from that. Janet is, and it's established via Kang, he's like, I can get you back to the day you left your daughter.
That's
That's
right,
a
yeah.
point established in the film. Then what's his like bargaining chip with Scott? I'll kill your daughter if you don't do it. The fuck? No. And also, what's his reward? I won't kill your daughter. Okay, well then
Yeah.
I'll do it. Rather than, I will kill your daughter if you don't do it, but also, if you bring it back, I will be able to give you all the time you never had with your daughter. Like, that is the point, right? That is the
That-
thing that Scott
yeah.
should be... Because then at the end of the
Yeah.
film is when he... and that's why I think that this must have been in the movie originally, because at the end of the film, he gives her a birthday. And that's his way of being like, I accept that I can't get it back,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I'm going to be here as much as I can now. And likewise, I think that should have been the thing she was angry at him. She shouldn't have been angry that he's not caring for the world. She should have been angry that he's replaced his, like, want to care for her. And it's like...
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been a gross thing of, like, you're not looking after doing Avengery stuff. It should have been her feeling neglected even more
Yeah.
so. So that the whole film is about him realizing he has to stop looking... Like, his ego has been inflated.
Yes. Okay.
It's a nice little Ant-Man
If we're going
thing.
yeah, if we're going down this line of thought, and I totally concede that could have been the film at one point.
Yeah.
Do you think the reason they went away from that is because they're worried about having a morally ambiguous protagonist? Because
Oh,
that
yeah.
is a level of moral ambiguity. Whereas
Oh, yeah.
this is just like, I'm good. I'm a member of the Avengers, and it's like he plays that off well because he's Paul Rudd.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like. Even the first film, he's somewhat morally ambiguous. Like, he's been to jail.
Yep.
He's, like, breaking into homes.
Totally.
Whereas in this, I feel like that identity of the character has gone away. Like, it feels like they're not really doing justice to that early version of the character that
Not at
was a
all.
bit like, well, I'm willing to, like, bend the rules a little bit to get what I want. And it's like,
Yeah.
he's just good now. Which
Yeah, but even in that, he's kind of not good as a human, because he is this egotistical thing at the
Yeah.
beginning, which is what Cassie's telling him he is. And then at the end of the film, as the montage shows, he hasn't changed the way he lives. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
the film
true.
goes out of its way to show that his journey is a circle and nothing
Yeah.
has changed from the
Yeah.
start to end of the movie, which also sucks for the movie's sake because it's like that. What did I just watch? If
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
start and end in the exact same place and
Yeah.
nothing changed.
The line of Kang being like still alive and stuff is like, it's a great drop. It's
Yeah.
a great like change to the monologue, but then I am just like, oh, okay. So there's no consequence.
No consequence.
Because he's coming back and like it's set up because they set this Kang up as the Conqueror. Like maybe it's different if they set this Kang up as just like a Kang
Yes.
and he gets defeated and you're like, oh,
It's just
okay,
another
but
one.
this wasn't the one.
Yeah.
But the fact that they set him up as the Conqueror, I'm like, well, they're all going to show up in Kang Dynasty and
Yeah.
then they're mostly all going to like get screwed over, but then the big Conqueror is going to be there for Secret Wars and that's how it's going to go because
yeah.
they set it up as the one guy and I'm like, you didn't
and
need to do
so
that.
my dream, this is like if they where I, and I think Sam, you had the same kind of things of like where I thought it was going when the fight starts happening between Kang and Lang, when it's like fisticuffs. I was so certain that it was going to be this glorious thing of they break the machine and they're stuck in a time loop until Avengers Secret Wars.
Oh, wow.
And it's like the big thing is like last time it was Ant-Man saving the universe.
Yeah.
This time it's Ant-Man that's caused the problem. And so
Yeah,
the end of the
right.
film is everyone's safe, but he's stuck in an internal battle with Kang. And the beginning of the Avengers film is we get Ant-Man back,
Yeah.
but we also bring Kang to our world.
Yeah,
and it's
right.
like it's
Oh,
like a,
that would have been so clever.
and even then, I was still like, oh, maybe like Hope is in there, and it's going to be this wonderful. We've
Yes.
lost Ant-Man and the Wasp, and it's going to be a really cool. And then no,
And
they
then,
just
yeah,
they just
the-
shoot him into a fucking thing.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. The way they just bring back the portal, I was like, this is so interesting. They're keeping them in the quantum
Yeah.
realm. What a
Yeah.
bold choice.
Yeah.
And then they just open up the portal. It's
turns
not
it
even
back
the most
on.
it's not even an
Why?
interesting way. It's not even them working out how to get back. It's just like, oh yeah, Cassie opened the portal again, we can go back.
God fucking damn.
And I even thought they were like looking out the window once the portal is open and they were looking over everything and they were like, oh, this is great. And then the portal opens back up and I thought they might be like, oh, like maybe we should stay here for a bit because they're supposedly in love. They have no chemistry, whatever.
yeah, yeah.
But then they're just like, let's go home. And I'm like, I don't believe that's the decision you'd make right
No.
now based on everything that's just happened.
Yeah, stay and help these people.
Yeah. Like even get Cassie back to come back.
Yeah, yeah. It was. A cut to black in a movie is never good.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
it. Just it hurt. It hurt so much that
Yeah.
like that's the direction they decided to take. But I just felt like there was again, it's a movie full of so many missed opportunities,
Yeah.
and that was one of the biggest ones.
Yeah.
Because stuff like Scott needing the time back, it would make
Yeah.
Kang a more interesting villain.
Yep.
Because and also would do the one thing I was praying they would do, which is bring back the young Cassie actress from the other films.
Yep.
Could have been a lovely moment of him being able to show Scott the future that he could or past that he could have if that and like there was so many more opportunities to tie it in as a trilogy and
Yeah.
and it just felt like they just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yep.
Still saw it 3 times, and I still go at the end of it. That wasn't bad. Like, it's
Yep.
still fun.
I will add, I think the funniest thing about this being a trilogy is
Yeah.
that it's been compared by Peyton Reed's. Is that is his name? Isn't
Yeah,
it?
Peyton Reed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was having it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That he has compared it to the trilogy for Back to the Future. Like in multiple interviews.
Well, I mean, I don't like watching Back to the Future 3, so
And I
that's,
was just like,
that's fair.
But like in like for me, the
Yeah.
thing that makes that trilogy so unique is that the films literally begin and end with
the next one.
To the next one.
Yeah.
And like this, I understand that you can't do that with movies that well anymore.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, you could.
Yeah,
you just
yeah,
don't
yeah.
do it. But when I heard that, I was like, no, man, no, not at all.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question before we wrap this up? How does this make you guys feel about Phase 5?
Oh, so scared.
And where Marvel is going?
Genuinely, if Guardians wasn't the next film,
Yeah.
I would probably not see them in the theater like the first month.
Yeah.
Like I just
Yeah.
this like broke me in terms of hype for these movies.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I am excited about Guardians, and then I went through and I looked at every project coming up after that, or possibly before it, or whatever, and I was like, I have no hype anymore.
No.
And like, there was a time when I did, like when they announced all this stuff, I was like, that's really cool,
Yeah.
but like,
Well, because
I don't know.
we were literally having this chat today where we're worried about things that have already been filmed.
Yeah.
It's like going past things that have already been filmed, they've now got room to grow and change. And with the newest announcement of Feige being like, look, we're going to minimize the amount of things that are coming out within a year. They do have room now to improve things and make things of a quality that was, you know, as matched of like phases 1, 2, 3, and 4 or whatever.
Yeah, but who knows about the Marvels?
Yeah, but like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I am really keen for the Guardians, because like those haven't really done wrong far, you know, at this point in time.
Yeah,
but
and
it's
that
like
looks the other thing about that is that looks like an actual self-contained movie in a way that I hope this was.
Yeah.
Totally.
But it's that thing of like me anyway. I'm just worried about everything that's already been filmed and is in the post stage of a movie or TV show, because it's like, like the Marvel magic has been dead for me for a couple of years now, and it's just
Phase
like
4 was such
ruined us.
I am more excited for the prospect of what DC is doing, unironically at this point, which is amazing to me.
I've never been so excited for a movie in a long time, and not because it's DC, just because that trailer genuinely showed us exciting things, and apparently, like, this is not like, take this with a grain of salt, but apparently people that have heard stuff that I know, they've said that what's
level.
in the trailer is like surface level to what's in the actual movie.
Yeah,
so if they can play this out correctly, hell yeah, thank you.
But also the future, like the James Gunn stuff.
My thing about I listen to everything James Gunn and DC are saying, and I'm like, well, it's weird. But it's clear you're taking time and you want to like make stuff you're interested in. Whereas at this point with Marvel, it feels like they're like, what characters can we bring in? What characters we still got to pick? It doesn't feel like people are interested in it.
No.
Like compared to phase 1 to 3, where they were like really interested in telling stories around all these characters. It's like now it just feels like they're pulling storylines, pulling characters out of everywhere to just make stuff for the sake of it.
Especially that Captain America movie. Jesus Christ.
With Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
There's more than Harrison Ford in that movie, and it sounds like too much.
So look, I am open to being surprised. I'm like, the stuff Kevin Feige said about wanting to like pare back a little bit gives me hope, but then we are still going to be getting like 5 Marvel things in a year. So it's not like they're paring it back that much. And it's like, at what point, like, you're right, the magic's gone, but at what point does that like start hitting them in the pocket as well? Because I don't think it's that far away. If they keep like putting out as divisive films as this, then maybe it's a Transformers and it just goes on forever. Or maybe
they just make it enough.
It starts petering out. I don't know. Anyway.
It's an odd one.
And they can talk about it as much as they want, but until we see proof of change, it's going to be very hard to be excited about things. But
make more Werewolf by Night, please.
Imagine that. Imagine movies being good. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
So just sorry, very quickly, but because of this whole thing of like them just churning out shit constantly, I haven't even watched that yet.
Yeah, totally.
Because because I'm just exhausted, and like I do want to eventually watch it, but it's like you know, in between like the big movies that we watch on the TV shows, there's so much going on that I haven't even like thought about watching it.
So many people have not watched it, and I have to keep being like to those people, you, Sam, but also other friends of mine who I know love Marvel stuff, who are also exhausted by Marvel stuff, be like, watch this one, because this is what they should be doing at this point, not everything else, because... And I think that has skyrocketed up to the top of my Marvel list. I don't know if it's the best thing they've made, but I think because it's so unique and it makes me want more of that stuff, I'm like, I've seen what they can do when they give a creator everything. They're like, just make what you want to make. Like that film, short, whatever, feels like it is so like the quality of the things comes first, and then the tie-ins come later. Just like it seems like DC are trying to do, and Marvel did at one point, but just they're not doing it anymore. Anyway, it's a fun movie, everyone.
Very fun movie. And the last thing I'll just say on the movie as well is that it is proving the terrifying thought that these movies are just playing catch up with the shows, in that so much of this movie is just trying to tell the audience what happened in Loki, to the point where I was like, is this the same Kang? Like, is this the same dude? And then the same thing happened in Doctor Strange, where it was almost the same character journey Wanda went on. I'm like, if you're going to do movies and shows, you need to just like hope that the audience has seen the other thing because
Yeah.
I don't want to be double treading,
Yeah,
and that's what this really felt like at times. But yeah, fun. It's look, it's nice that there's going to be lots of movies in the MCU that we don't have to ever watch again soon. Like it's
Yep.
in a good way. It's like make as much
Yep.
as you want, but just make ones I never have to watch again, so
Yeah.
that my watch
Yeah.
chronological watch.
Totally. Now it means I don't have to watch all 40.
Yeah,
41
we've got less.
things.
We've got less to watch.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, that's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. What did you guys think? Let us know either in the comments or over on our Discord, which you can get into at patreon.com/each to their own. $3 will get you in there, and you can talk about it with a bunch of people. They have opinions. They have lots of them.
They do.
Some are right.
Some are wrong. Maybe.
It's actually been interesting to see people's thoughts on this
Yeah.
movie. It's
Yeah.
been as divisive as the critical reviews and stuff.
I think it's gotten to a point where even the most hardcore of Marvel fans are just even they've gotten to a point where it's like they're just worn down and broken.
I mean, that's us, right?
That's us.
yeah, pretty much.
We're those ones.
Yeah.
Look at this fucking
Yeah.
room, Sam.
Yeah, and it's like it's kind of sad we've gotten to that point, but it's also like it makes me excited for when they do deliver something really good because it's going to be like a moment of joy because I'm
Yeah.
going to be like, oh, that's what I wanted.
We're
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And it may be Guardians in a couple of months,
Hopefully. I hope for your
yeah.
sake.
Don't do this to Will.
so yeah. Although if it helps me save money on hot toys, it's fine.
True.
Make a bad movie.
Yeah.
I think that's it. You can find us at edo.card.co. That's double R in the card. Where can people find you guys? Where can they find you, Sam?
You can find some fan art I make over on Instagram at samstudioau. No Ant-Man stuff yet, but there is a Kang piece, but I don't really like it.
I might delete it.
I might get rid of it. Who knows?
A bit like the movie, you know?
Felt cute, might delete later.
Yeah.
Do you feel cute, Ben?
I do feel cute. Sometimes I feel cute over on twitch.tv/ArganTV. Sometimes I don't feel cute, but I just turn my camera on anyway. So, you know, that's the content creation commodity life we live.
Do you feel cute?
Do you feel cute? Let me know in the comments or in the Edo Discord.
There you go.
We're back around.
There you go.
There it is. We're back around. It's like the film, a full circle. Until the next time, I've been Will.
I've been Sam.
No, I've been Ben.
Welcome back. Your dreams were your ticket out.